checked every coil on the port nacelle for imbalances. If any coil in either engine were cracked, I would have detected it. So, it must be the navigation array.
Except it's not. Checked and double-checked.
Well, the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team.
Hey.
I'm not here.
We're escorting the negotiating team to the surface as soon as they come down from the bridge. I don't want to interrupt some important work. I was just hoping to see you before I go. The captain and the others will be here any minute now. Should be an interesting ride down to the surface.
Come on, I'm never too busy to make time for you.
That's not true.
No. But I am glad you came by.
No, that's more accurate.
I gotta be precise with you, huh?
Hey, Maris. Aren't these those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the phaser jockeys we always beat in Parisi squares, right?
All aboard for Hotari!
That another one of the captain's railroad things?
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole, steam engines were the warp drives of their day part. Catch y'all later.
You don't want to miss your train.
I do have to go. Not gonna lie, I'd rather not leave right now. More important things on my mind. That was nice.
Yeah, it was.
Save some of that for when I get back.
You've got a deal.
Be seeing you.
Etzelarda Diaz. If you could float back down to reality, we still have a ways to go. All right, where were we?
So, the warp coils in the navigation array are fine, but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping the shuttle from bow to stern.
You wanna take this out of the shuttle and throw it on the bench?
Oh, real hands-on maintenance. I like it. Okay, the nav computer is patched into the ship.
The ship's computer can double-check our work. If the shuttle's nav computer is putting out false data, we'll know it.
Let's run through the shuttle's logs again.
Running now. Same. Warp field inversion and a cascade failure. However, the Resolute computer doesn't show the same subspace variance.
We're in the same conditions that the shuttle was in when it failed. Why wouldn't the ship's computer get a matching result?
What if the subspace variance was a momentary occurrence?
That's a possibility, and it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
But a subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Let's run with the momentary subspace variance theory for now. Roll forward to the shuttle's attempt to re-engage the warp drive. We need the conditions of space around the shuttle at the moment of warp failure.
Resuming simulation.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
That right there. Take the shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure returned non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
That doesn't help.
Wait, what if we use a different ship?
Put the Resolute into the simulation instead of the shuttle.
Yeah, it should warp just fine. Unless... Computer, run the simulation with the Resolute.
Resolute simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Static field intensity, warp 1.1. 1.2. 3. Warp pressure is destabilizing. Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a system-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of tolerance. Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
What-o?
The same moment when the shuttle failed to warp, so did the ship. Whatever happened to the shuttle just happened to us. The Resolute will not sustain warp.
We can't leave Hotari space.
Ambassador Spock, Captain Solano, welcome to Hotari. We are honored you have come. My name is Tylos Altaris, Minister of Diplomatic Affairs.
The honor is ours, and this is Commander Jara Rydick, First Officer aboard the USS Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind, and unique insight into the dynamics between the Hotari and the Illidians.
We are honored to be here, as representatives of the Federation.
I'm so glad.
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation. The reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But, either way, we're grateful you've made the time to come to our little corner of the universe.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Citron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
Let's hope this is the last time we ever have to come here.
If you'll excuse me.
I think we're about to begin.
Did you hear the arrogance from that guy? I don't know what we're walking into here. That guy was something.
Something about his tone tells me this won't be easy.
That was my sense as well.
I doubt he speaks for all of Hotari. So I would urge patience until we speak with their queen.
Ambassador Spock, welcome to Hotari Prime.
The honor is mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Hotari people and their queen, but a recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With all due respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here. We are not members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate return of all mining operations to Illidian control, as it has been for centuries and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war!
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced. But his point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter? Perhaps you would have us trade one oppressor for another?
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution of this conflict. We are here at your request, Your Majesty.
For now.
Saying this wouldn't be easy was an understatement. I thought they wanted us here.
Was there something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh, no. My apologies.
And what about the Kobliad?
She's not part
She can speak for herself, can't she? Then let her. Now then, one should know their place. What you might be somewhere else is not what you are here. Which is standing before a queen. And a queen deserves respect. A bow is not too much to ask. Is Hotari Prime part of the Hotari system?
My apologies, Your Majesty. No disrespect.
Better. You are Kobliad. Your people suffered brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians. Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not unlike how we have been treated by the Elidians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us. Hundreds of innocent Elidians were slaughtered without mercy in those mines.
The blood is on their hands, not ours.
Quiet! If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that wrong, to get out from under their control, would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
If the opportunity presented itself, and I wish that it had, more than you can know, then I would right the wrong without hesitation. For the sake of the Kobliad, we suffered enough.
Of course you would. It would be foolish to do otherwise. The Federation is the most powerful, most advanced alliance in the galaxy. It's widely known we have an abundance of dilithium in our mines. And it's in your interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the interest of peace. So why are you really here? I want the truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
As Ambassador Spock has said, we've come seeking a peaceful resolution to this conflict, and have no interest in your dilithium.
I'm not nearly as naive as you must think. The Federation has done business with the Elidians for decades, which makes me question your motives.
What they haven't said, but cannot deny, is a simple truth. The dilithium trade would not and will no longer exist without Elidian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology. We've let them share in the profits. We've made their lives infinitely better than before dilithium was discovered. All of that goes away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies! The Hotari are quite capable of running the mines. We've done so for centuries. So tell me, who deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on Tau? Who should the Federation recognize? The Hotari or the Elidians? only be one or the other, not both.
If there can only be one, then it would be in the best interest of all involved if the Illidians resumed operation of the mines.
And that is why we should not trust our fate to the Federation.
She speaks sense. You do well to listen to her.
And you do well to hold your tongue.
We will take back our minds by any means necessary.
And you will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
I would agree, Ambassador Spock. I think this is best left to those of us with more experience in diplomatic matters.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?
Commander, after hearing so much about the Federation's sense of fairness and justice, I was surprised that you sided with the Illidians. In all honesty, I expected more, especially from someone like you.
Even though the Illidians should retain control, the Hotari have an equal claim and should share in the profits, as partners.
I'm afraid it's too late for that.
I assume you were there the day the mines were seized from the Illidians.
Not seized. Reclaimed. And restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive. Before the Illidians could even realize their worst nightmare was upon them.
I'm curious why the Illidians haven't fought back. They have the ability to retake the mines anytime they want.
Ability is one thing. Courage is another. The Illidians know any hostile action on their part will not end well. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship. Ready to contend with anything the Illidians might have in store. Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
I wouldn't say state-of-the-art, but the Resolute is plenty capable and can hold its own against just about anything.
Let's hope so. Because at the moment, it's the only thing preventing them from wiping us off the map.
Zedron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Soothing.
Commander Rydek, I have to admit, I was surprised when you said the Illidians should control the dilithium trade. I was under the assumption the Federation was neutral. But maybe I was wrong.
I can assure you, we aren't on anyone's side. We are, and will remain, completely neutral. You have my word.
I hope that's true. For all of our sakes. I saw you speaking with Sidron, our national hero. I'm curious, what did he say?
He seems to be of the opinion that negotiating for peace is a waste of time.
Because force is the only blunt instrument he understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat. For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
I get the sense you don't exactly trust them.
I don't trust their instincts, which are leading us to war. My fear has been that the Illidians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them. But it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Because of what happened in the mines. Is it Galvin they're afraid of?
It's entirely possible. But I don't know for sure. Whatever Galvin is doing in those mines is turning everything upside down. But no one knows exactly what's happening. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I've made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
What do you think it is?
I've heard rumors it's some sort of ancient artifact, but I haven't seen it myself.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Sorry, I don't mean to bother you, but I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured it might be useful if I offered another perspective.
Of course.
I have to say, I fully expected you to side with the Hotari, but obviously the Federation wants a steady supply of dilithium. Something only we can offer. Without Illidian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. Left to the Hotari, it would be nothing short of a disaster.
We're not on either side. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution to this conflict.
As is ours. Of course, the question is, at what price? Major Sarlet Arminta, Special Attaché, Illidian Armed Forces. A pleasure to meet you.
Commander Rydek, First Officer, USS Resolute.
Yes. A research ship, if I'm not mistaken. Interesting. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least, that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
You sound skeptical.
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives, that it was more than just the storm, that somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
You said the Hotari were primitive.
Well, they are.
Except for the part about weaponizing ion storms.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Elydians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
It is evident that presently, the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
Well, couldn't we slowboat it out of here at impulse speed?
It may come to that, but we don't know how far this warp dead zone extends. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clearer picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Commander Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Chovak probably isn't such a fun guy to work for, huh?
Nah, Lieutenant Commander Chovak's not so bad. You know, once you get used to him. And, I've learned a lot working under him.
I have a feeling I'm going to have to work harder to be a political animal like you, with this new first officer coming aboard. This is far enough. Transporting the first probe into position. Westbrook here. The first probe is deployed.
Understood. We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
Problem?
Don't get me wrong. Things are definitely trending up with Commander Rydek. She's put my ideas into action. And she listened to me when your life was on the line out on the hull.
That sounds like a good thing.
It is. But I'm still trying to figure out if she's right for the job. She didn't go through what the rest of us did. Still got chosen to be #1. Can't tell if she was actually siding with me.
Yeah, but she's lucky she didn't go through what we did. You can't hold it against her.
Actually, I think I can. Even if I shouldn't.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Whoa. All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there. With 2 points of data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there. Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture. Before Rydek showed up, the captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
Well, if you're asking, I think you're a people person. After all, here we are. Me, an enlisted officer. You, one of the senior staff. Talking like old buddies.
I should send Solano to talk to you.
Bring him on.
I'm sure you can handle him. You've got potential. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work. And who knows? A solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in the enlisted ranks, too. Of course, if you get an officer's commission, they'll put you on another ship.
You know, I'd be the best leader Starfleet ever had. Lower decks always have to fix all the problems Command causes. Maybe I'd just save everybody some steps.
Well, don't forget about us little people when you're running things.
Of course not. You gotta remember where you came from.
Here. This is close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
Very good. Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually. We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more. Hold up. This is coming from the moon.
A beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
Why would they be doing this? We came here to help these people. And now we're getting hit by some warp-killing weapon?
Now, look here. It's current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations... they line up with the interference pattern. The storm and this beam, they're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger. Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. But one thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Illidians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
We're right to be worried. If they're targeting the Resolute and we can't go to warp, that effectively leaves us at their mercy.
Which puts us in a rather difficult position.
Especially if they have more tricks up their sleeve.
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
She doesn't like the way Galvin and Sidron have been manipulating the situation. And the Queen. Working with us to go around them isn't the same as betraying her people.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
Sidron was very curious when we spoke outside the Queen's chamber. He wanted to know all about us, our ship, the Federation. He wasn't giving any answers. He was looking for them.
Well, I'm sure you didn't tell him too much. I don't think the Elydians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Arminta said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harnessed the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm?
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Elydians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Galvin and Sidron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
I found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it. Tylus, if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus.
Can we reconnect?
Sorry, Captain. We've lost all contact.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
It was hard to tell.
I'm the one who got her into this. If something happens to her, it's my fault.
She's one of the Queen's closest advisors. I'm sure she'll be fine. Assuming the Queen isn't part of this. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell that was.
Tylus suspects this came from the mines on Tau.
It appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the Resolute. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Elydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
The Federation would not allow that. We were, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action. Otherwise, it could put us in a difficult position.
Whatever this artifact is may be proof enough. At least to satisfy the Federation.
Especially if we can show the Hotari are controlling the warp disruption. And targeting the Resolute.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device. But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
As I was telling Carter, I want all the data I can get on this warp problem. And the negotiating team's shuttle has been recording data all the way back from Hotari. Even better than our probes. So pull the sensor and engine ISOs from the Melville when it sets down.
Will do.
I'll join you and Chovak down in engineering to run another analysis after the briefing.
I didn't like this warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us. How does it work? What do we even do about it?
What do you say we pull these chips and find out?
Took some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull plating. Might be some micro welds. Let's try pulling together.
All right.
3, 2, 1. It won't budge. Gotta be the storm damage. We need to... Welcome back. Any excitement down on the surface?
Excitement? No. Nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
Here, I'll help.
We've got this.
Open up and say ah.
Thanks for the hand. We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem. You really know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems. Like a walking Starfleet technical manual.
Well, I wouldn't say everything, but I know my stuff.
I can see that.
Come on, start pulling chips.
What's this?
Some kind of crystal formation?